Goetzi hopa shrutanahana koet mese, Kewa me alsota, Benadi asu tanch go, University of New Mexico, a graduate siege. Hello everybody, my name is Lorelai Chavez. I am Fox Clan, my name is Rain Puddles, so go Rain. Before I begin, I just want to echo how amazing it is to be sitting here with these amazing ladies and the work that they do. And I don't know how I, as my humble Pueblo self, can be a part of this group of comrades that we're doing this work. So I just want to say thank you and honor my indigenous peoples who are doing this work, and that it's very important and that we do need our allies. So I ask this of you to listen to what we've said today and to take that with you and consider being an ally of ours. So to begin, I am an educator. I'm a new educator. I'm in my second year of teaching. I currently hold an alternative licensure through the state of New Mexico Public Education Department. In the school that I work at, I'm currently piloting an Indigenous Studies curriculum that was written by the University of New Mexico with students that I am teaching. We're in our second year of piloting this program and really reevaluating how this looks through a Pueblo perspective. So that's my experience. I'm gonna speak as a Pueblo Indigenous educator, which, just to put a disclaimer out there, there is not enough of. So if you know anybody who's out there and who's on their path to being an Indigenous educator, please support them because we need more out here in this fight. So to begin, the basic thing I wanted to talk about mainly is to be here to share the youth voice. Along with Indigenous women, LGBTQ plus two spirit, femmes, our youth are being affected by heteropatriarchy, toxic traditionalism, and colonialism that has impacted our communities. We don't realize how our youth today carry this as a backpack everywhere they go. We don't understand that the things that they're attaching themselves to that are not Pueblo are as a direct result of the history that their families have gone through. I've seen in Pueblos where students who are not involved or enrolled traditionally in the Pueblos are excluded. And how this looks is because their skin is lighter, because their skin is darker, they are given a less stance or not even a chair at the table, at the Pueblo table, because they are seen as less than, because they don't fit this heteropatriarchy ideal of what it means to be Pueblo. They are excluded for that. And how we see that in our classrooms is we see depression, we see low self-esteem, we see things that looks like kids checking out and not being involved in their education. But what educators, administrators, PED education secretaries need to know is this idea that we don't learn like they do. Our genius and your genius are not the same genius. It is time that we acknowledge Indigenous knowledge, Pueblo history, and the things that are now an afterthought in the public education department. Why does it take a lawsuit? Why does it take a House bill? Why does it take a new governor for Indigenous education to be acknowledged like it is and like it's worth? I am so tired of being put down as an Indigenous woman because they believe because of my skin color, because of my fluency in my Keres language, that I cannot follow Common Core, that I don't have the understanding to implement all these fancy, white and Eurocentric ideals on my Indigenous students. That is not the case. I am not ignorant. I am not uneducated. What I see is I see the injustice of this mold that we are trying to shove our Indigenous youth into that does not fit. Our Pueblo people will never fit in a mold. All of my comrades and my relatives in this room of Indigenous and Pueblo descent each bring a unique thing to our Pueblos. And by discounting them because of who they are, where they come from, or what amount of blood quantum they have, you are automatically delineating the love that exists in Pueblo community. Let's talk about core values. Love. Pueblo love is not discriminatory. Pueblo love does not tell you you can't dance because your family moved outside the Pueblo when you were 5 years old and you had no control over that. Pueblo love doesn't discriminate you because you are LGBTQ plus, and Pueblo ideals say that you can only be one gender. I am sick and tired of my Pueblo communities discounting women, youth, LGBTQ in leadership and not having a voice. We talk all the time about how our Pueblo communities only share the voice of about 25% of the people they represent. Rarely is the woman, youth, or LGBTQ relatives included in making decisions on what happens in their community. So how does that manifest in an educational sense? Like I said, you see things like addiction. Our youth are addicted to substances. And yes, we want to play it up to, oh, kids are young, they're going to try stuff. But we have to recognize and understand that there's a deeply seated trauma and weight that they carry that is not being acknowledged by our mainstream educational system, that their culture and their values that will save them are being taken away from their education that they spent 8 hours a day doing. I recently was at a PD where an elder stood in front of a group of educators and said, "It's ironic how you have spent 3 days learning about the Eurocentric ways of teaching, and you have only allotted me 45 minutes to come up and talk about a millennial of knowledge that I carry as an indigenous person, educator, leader, spiritual elder." Those are the people I want to hear from. Just plain honesty. Furthermore, I just want to go a little, and I just want to tell you, a lot of us have spent a lot of work on what we're doing, but we also wanted to acknowledge that we are here with authenticity. We are here with our hearts open. We are here to share this. I'm gonna cry too. We're Pueblo, we cry. We are here to share the love and hope that everyone in here feels that you are part of this mission and that you were born to be here in this fight, and that your hopelessness and your exclusion from culture is not Pueblo. That is not the way, and that we are here to fight with love and show you that you are a part of our communities. And that's why our points are so laid out, because we want to ensure that all the things we are passionate about, whether it's environmental awareness, indigenous feminism, toxic traditionalism, reproductive justice, is included, because we not only speak for ourselves, but we speak for all on this earth and all in indigenous Pueblo communities. So I am gonna go back to my thing. I went on my tangent because I want you to know that we're authentic and we're here, and I want you to see my heart and all of our hearts. But I do want to talk about how, furthermore, this exclusion of youth is not only included in educational curriculum, but cultural curriculum as well. So these students who are not traditionally involved, say they don't participate, or say that their family moved away, as an example I gave earlier, or say maybe their parent died or someone in their family passed away and they don't have the knowledge that all of us may have been blessed with. So this idea that in language programs and cultural enrichment, if you're not enrolled, you can't be in a language program. If you're not participating, you will get made fun of sometimes within these programs. If you are on your language learning journey and people make fun of you because you mispronounce something wrong, that is not traditional. What is traditional is opening your heart and taking the time to really teach someone what it is to speak, instead of laughing at the way their tongue is moving. Why can't we sit down and take the time to hold their hand and encourage them and love them. And maybe through our hearts, the language will stay. I am so hurt when I see language programs and language directors inadvertently doing injustices to their youth in their communities. And I want to understand that maybe they don't know. Maybe they haven't read our manifesto. Um, Maybe they're just not aware of how their actions and how their ideals are excluding a huge percent of our youth in our communities.
5 minutes.
Thank you. And furthermore, we all talked about several different, and we can talk for days. We do have another panel that we were on where we expand it more, but I really wanted to come up here and really end with something super positive and encourage everybody to own this idea that we all have a part in this work, that not only one person or one panel or one red nation owns this work. You all, as indigenous and non-indigenous people, own a part in speaking your voice and holding people accountable for the injustices that you see on a daily basis. And if you don't feel strong or able to do that, then lean on a comrade and support them to do that work and speak for the people who can't. Um, and lastly, like I said earlier, I really, really want to encourage honoring indigenous knowledge. I really want to see more homegrown Montessori schools built by Pueblo people, written with Pueblo curriculum, taught in Pueblo languages. And I just want to shout out my people who are doing that work, our Caris Learning Center in Cochiti, all our indigenous educators that are out there challenging our public education system on these programs and initiatives that are afterthoughts. They should have been first at the line. And not just Pueblo people, but all people of color should have been the first people to have been thought of when we're thinking of these educational structures. So moving away from these institutions that continue to assimilate our children and moving toward more a Pueblo ideology that acknowledges our epistemologies and our knowledges and brings elders into the classroom without discriminating against them because they don't have a degree or because they didn't go to a university. Now is the time. So please stand up and make a difference. Thank you.